I mean, so.
And now, is there a safety protocol that's put into place, or it's just there? We just know that.
I mean, the FCC has done extensive research on safety of RF emissions, and that's why they exist, is to enforce those. So, and again, all the equipment that we purchase abides by that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Lopez?
Yeah, so I'm going to ask so I can get a better understanding. The first one is, are you also so for example, it's the name, you are the, I don't know, Xfinity, you are the internet provider of the service?
The way the internet actually works is it's made up of basically a highway that connects networks all throughout the United States together to allow people to reach their destinations. Larger, they call it tier 1, tier 2 type providers, provide the backbone of that throughout the United States, such as the level 3s and the NTTs and the very large companies. Our facility actually is connected via fiber to many of those providers. So essentially we're providing the on-ramps to the internet, and of course those companies provide the backbone that gets you where you need to go for that. So we're like a Comcast, or we're like an AT&T, where we deliver to the customer and then hand off to one of those backbone providers.
Got it, understood, thanks. And then my other question is, are the information that is sent out through those devices, is it being tracked? Is it sold to third-party information?
This service is no different than what parents and families have right now. We're just being the conduit to facilitate for those that can't afford it. So right now, students go home with their Chromebooks, and we secure them with, actually the word is securely, is the name of the vendor that does filtering, and that's not going to change. They're just providing the on and off ramp to the internet. For like those families that currently have AT&T, Comcast, they're just another alternative that's willing to partner with the district.
Great. Now, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew, and I know that's a hesitation nowadays, is where information and selling information to third parties and all that. Yeah.
All right, next is Trustee Daly.
So my understanding, there's no cost to the district. We're going to save the money that
Yeah.
we're currently spending.
Correct. Our cost is the in-kind will be the corner of our buildings for those towers to give the signal out to our students.
Okay. And it sounds like this is a local business that started? I really appreciate that. How far is the signal going to reach?
Depends on the height typically, but we typically wouldn't go more than, say, a mile and a half or so. Being fixed wireless, our nemesis is trees and tall structures because they block the signal. So this is actually, being able to have these additional locations actually will help us extend our network out, which is kind of what's in it for us. In addition, being on these, most student households, many of the student households for each of these schools are pretty nearby. So us being up on these schools will actually help us hit those student households, whereas before, from one of our other towers or tall structures we're on, we wouldn't be able to serve them.
Okay. So I appreciate that you're saying that the FCC has governed the idea of these. What is the difference, and you may not be able to answer this, but might be able to direct me to, what is the difference between a cell signal and this?
Really depends on the frequency. Cellular companies will bid and become owners of certain blocks of frequencies. We mainly use the unlicensed spectrum that the FCC has set aside for companies like us that can use it. Because they have purchased that frequency, typically their antennas can provide more power and have more reach than an unlicensed frequency would. In fact, your home router or our antennas typically put out about half the power of the cell phone that's in your pocket right now. I mean, so it's Again, limited by the FCC on how much we can put out.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Trustee Lopez, did you have something else? Okay, okay. Trustee Mejia?
Mine's a little bit more simple. Are students gonna need like codes or access, or it's just gonna be like, oh, they're just gonna see the company and then just gonna click on it, or I'm looking at that simplicity. Is it gonna be, because if you require them to do codes and all these other things, it's gonna be like, okay, that's not gonna happen. Is it gonna be something that they could just, it'll show up on their device and click on it and they don't need to put a code? Or is it gonna be with a code? That's like my big, because usually sometimes those are the barriers in some.
It's not going to be any more of a barrier than what you have at your own home when you first set up your internet access. They will have to put up a code because you don't want anybody getting onto the system, because that will defeat the purpose and slow it down. So we'll work with Ayera to have a portal where the family will register for that, and then there'll be communication off that website to them to get that code that you're referring to.
Yeah, I just feel like we're gonna need a lot of support on that front, because I feel like that's where we're gonna have a little bit of barrier. Not for the company doing it, I'm saying for our students, you know, hard to hit households, hard to get a hold of parents and doing all that extra stuff. Yeah.
I'm just going to say,
That's what-
not to be
that's-
boisterous, but this isn't our first rodeo in the sense that we did 20,000 computers in 2 weeks. So I feel like we have a really good, I'm fortunate to have a really good staff. But you're well taken, right? We want good, clear instructions, bilingual instructions in all the different languages. I call it KISS, you know, keep it simple. So we can give them nice brochures that if they don't have to go online and watch a video, just look at a one page. But very, very important, because that barrier is something we don't want to have for sure. Yeah.
Trustee Marks, did you have comments or questions? Okay, I have a couple. So the goal is to eliminate all these hotspots and the cost of those hotspots.
Correct.
I hear that it's not going to be a cost to the district. It's not going to be a cost to the families that are in need.
Correct, yes.
So does that mean that these towers on the schools are going to be available for IARA to sell services to other entities? Is that how it's going to pay for itself?
Yeah, it's kind of like the best connection, meaning that someone that's not in our district but lives close to one of our schools could get their signal strength or their internet access from one of those towers. But the same applies. Our students could be not near one of our schools, but where another Ayera tower is at, then they can get on that system and get onto the internet.
Okay, so the school district is not going to be advertising to the public for IARA's sales to other entities.
No, that wasn't the
Okay,
intent.
and then I'm looking at this heat map and I see some areas where our schools don't really reach areas out in Salida or down at Riverdale Park area of West Modesto. And the tower at the neighboring school may not be close enough to reach those people that are maybe economically disadvantaged to the point that they're not able to get service. So what do we do about them?
This heat map is for our students where they're located. I'll let Matthew speak because there's more antennas that I did not put on that map that are proprietary to Ayera.
Okay.
We currently have about 180 existing towers, tall structures, partnerships that we're with. So wherever that student is, if we can serve them, whether it's from a school tower or whether it's from one of our existing ones, it would be no difference. They'll be able to get internet service from any of them.
So if we have a remote area where we're just not reaching somebody, are we still going to use hotspots?
We're going to have to in those cases. Looking at our data, historically, that's been about a dozen students, believe it or not, that had that hard to reach where money wasn't the obstacle. It was the fact that there's no signal there. There is some progress. I was at a meeting last week at the state level where T-Mobile is putting in a new system that maybe will take advantage of that kind of connection capability for those dozen or so students.
Okay, thank you. So any other board comments? This is a report. We appreciate it, and great to see that we can reach all of our students, or almost all of our students, without with a cost savings instead of a cost spent.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
And thank you for staying so late today. So you were pretty far down there in the agenda, but we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Moving now to item B7, approval of vote of no more than 2 candidates for the California School Boards Association CSBA Delegate Assembly for 2023. Dr. Noguchi.
This one is going to be our quickest agenda item. Tonight, I'm asking the board to approve Kathy Dunham Filson from Denair and Mary Jackson from Turlock Unified School District to be nominated for the Delegate Assembly for CSBA.
So do we have comments from the public on this agenda item? I see none. Comments from the board? Nope. Let's go ahead and move to a vote. Do we have a motion to support these 2 candidates?
I motion.
Thank you, Trustee Daly. Second by Trustee Lopez. All those in favor by roll. Trustee Daly.
Aye.
Trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Trustee Mathis.
Aye.
Trustee Marks.
Aye.
Trustee Mejia.
Aye.
Vice President Irvin.
Aye.
And President Brown. Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. And we have one more approval. This is approval of Resolution 2223-19, authorizing reduction and/or elimination of classified and classified management services for the 2023 and 24 school year. Mr. Henderson.
Good evening, Board President Brown and trustees, Dr. Noguchi. On this item, the district recommends approval of the resolution authorizing reduction and elimination of classified and classified management services for the 2023-24 school year. It's an annual process and an item brought forward to the board each year as the district analyzes our operational needs in terms of levels of classified and classified management service and funding. This process is governed by Education Code, Article 9 and the CSEA bargaining unit. Also, the timelines implemented by Assembly Bill 438, which align the classified layoff process with the certificated process and timelines. We've met with CSEA as required on numerous occasions. February 1st, met with them, talked about the proposed positions, the background, the reasons why they were on there, answered any questions. Came back together on February 8th to discuss and clarify some of their questions about positions. And then on February 10th, we met as a classified layoff committee to review adjustments to the list, and we voted on the final proposed layoff list as required. I do want to give a bit of an overview of some of the positions on the list, just to give some perspective regarding the action the board's taking tonight. At the outset, there are 55 classified and 3 classified management positions on the list. 89% of the positions are vacant, with a portion being the elimination of obsolete positions and job descriptions due to reclassification into new positions or job descriptions and titles. 21 positions, in fact, are on the list due to the reclassification process. Reclassified positions are vacant because we work with a committee. We created new job titles and descriptions, and the employees who were in those continued into the new positions or the different titles. But what we're bringing forward are the elimination of the obsolete positions. 34 positions on the list for different reasons, such as lack of work or lack of funds based on analysis of the operational needs of the district. Most of the positions are vacant. For example, 3 vacant positions were assigned to the COVID Command Center, and that's no longer needed. 5 vacant positions, yes, for good reason. 5 vacant positions were grant funded, and the grant funding decreased. 5 vacant positions are due to lack of funds as sites have worked with their school site councils on reallocating their site funding based on different needs. Management positions are due to reclassification as part of either department restructuring, or one position was eliminated upon the retirement of an employee. So what remains are 6 classified positions, which are currently filled by employees. And for those employees displaced as part of the layoff resolution, we will review each employee situation to determine if employees have bumping rights into other positions. We've held some positions vacant instead of filling them in anticipation of the need to find placements for employees who were displaced by the process. We exhaust all efforts to maintain employment when possible. It's important to note that the employee currently in the position may not be the employee ultimately displaced by a layoff once we get through the bumping rights process. In typical years, we've been fortunate. Very few employees are formally laid off at the end of the process after all of our efforts are exhausted. Board action is needed at this time in order for the district to meet its statutory timelines and proceed with the reduction and elimination process. And with that, it's recommended that the board approve the resolution 2223-19 authorizing the reduction and/or elimination of classified and classified management services for the 23-24 school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in the public who would like to make comments on this board agenda item? Seeing none, comments or questions from the board? Do I have a motion of approval for Resolution 2223-19 authorizing board reduction and/or elimination of classified and classified management services for the 23-24 school year? Motion by Trustee Mejia, second by Vice President Irvin. Those in favor by roll call. Trustee Daly.
Aye.
Trustee Lopez.
Aye.
Trustee Mastis.
Aye.
Trustee Marks.
Aye.
Trustee Mejia. Vice President Irvin.
Aye.
And President Brown. Aye. Passes unanimously. Any
Thank you.
items for placement on future Board of Education agendas? Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I move.
I second.
Moved by Trustee Mastis, second by Trustee Daly. Those in favor, do we need a roll call?
Aye.
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 Aye.